Been covering the case for years. He was there when the acquittal was read out, and he joins us now from the city of Perugia. Nick Squires, thanks for your time tonight. We've seen the pictures from inside the courtroom of this extraordinary day, but to be in there as Amanda Knox and her former boyfriend were acquitted, what was the atmosphere like just prior to that and as those words were read out?
Well, it was incredibly tense, as you can imagine. Amanda Knox came in and she was trembling. She was virtually hyperventilating. She came in, it was late at night last night that the jurors returned after about 11 hours. She sat down in the front bench surrounded by her lawyers and then and held her face in her hands. And then the verdict, the acquittal, was read out. She burst into tears and her face kind of crumpled into relief, into a sort of tearful relief. And then Raffaele Sollecito, her boyfriend or former boyfriend, was hugging his lawyers and saying, thank you for what you've done for me.
Where's Ms Knox now?
Knox took a flight this morning from Rome. She'll go via London. There's a stopover in London, and then she'll go on back to Seattle, which is where she's from, in the Pacific Northwest. She's with her family, and she's guaranteed of a tumultuous homecoming, I think.
Now, Nick, you attended the media conference held just a couple of hours ago by the family of the victim, of Meredith Kercher, and they certainly posed some big questions that they see still surrounding this case.
That's right. They said if these two people, Knox and Sollecito, didn't kill Meredith Kercher, then who did? Who were the killers on that night? One man is in jail, a guy called Rudy Guede. He's serving 16 years and was sentenced in a separate trial. But judges here in Italy have said that the murder was definitely carried out by more than one person. So the Kercher family is saying, well, who are those other people? The hunt goes on. As they said today, the acquittal last night has put them back to square one. After 4 years of torture, really, they're no closer to knowing what really happened to Meredith Kercher that night.
So where to for the police investigation then, to answer that key question that the brother of Meredith Kercher posed at the press conference? Where to try and find out who were the killers of Meredith Kercher?
Well, we just heard this morning that the prosecutors in the case are going to go for a final appeal. They're going to try and get the acquittal overturned in the Court of Cassation, which is Italy's highest appeals court. Now, that could take at least another year. There's not going to be a new police investigation, but a panel of very senior judges would look at the existing evidence and see if there'd been any mistakes made by the appeals court. If Knox's acquittal was overturned, it's difficult to say what would happen. There is an extradition treaty between Italy and the US. It's a discretionary treaty. I find it hard to believe that Knox would really come back to Italy to resume a sentence.
That other big question that was posed by Lyle Kercher, the brother, where he said, how is it that something that was so certain 2 years ago can now be emphatically overturned? How much is that question being asked not only around Perugia, but throughout Italy?
I think that's right. I think you're right. Very serious questions being asked about the original trial, about the alleged bungling by police and forensics experts, about the character assassination that Knox's family say she underwent. She was, as people will recall, she went from sort of all-American, blue-eyed girl next door into being portrayed as a kind of sexually precocious she-devil, is what they described her as, the prosecutors. A she-devil, a witch, someone who was diabolical, who looked like she had the face of an angel, but was in fact a manipulating liar. So lots of questions to be asked, indeed, about the initial conviction.
Nick, as I said at the outset when I was introducing you, you've been covering this case a long time. You've got to know that city very well and its people. What's been the reaction of the people of Perugia to the acquittal and, more broadly, to this case?
Well, there was an extraordinary reaction last night. We waited 11 hours for the verdict to come down, and outside the courthouse in Perugia is a beautiful medieval stone building. A crowd of about 1,000 people had gathered to hear the verdict, and when when it filtered out from the courtroom that Knox and Sollecito had been cleared and acquitted, a great sort of roar of disapproval went up, and people started shouting in Italian, "Vergogna, vergogna," shame, it's shameful. And that was just an extraordinary sight. It seems that many people here in Perugia, despite what those 6 jurors and judges said last night, think that Knox and her boyfriend were involved in that murder.
Nick Squires, the UK Daily Telegraph's Italy correspondent, I thank you for sharing your time and your knowledge with us tonight.